In a futuristic world where society has crumbled, only to start being rebuilt, is where this next character lives. I'm inspired by the steam-powered mechanical agents of a struggling future. This is the world of Pokemon. I'm going to create a steampunk Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy's appearance has changed a lot over the years, and in this distant future, she will be all mechanical. For this custom, I'm going to be using Honey Swamp from Monster High. First, I'll begin by removing her factory paint with some nail polish remover. And then it's time to chop off all her hair. Her new hair will be all mechanical. Her bangs will be made out of an empty spool of thread that I'm going to slice up, and I have these two hangers that will serve as her pigtails. I'll be using 2-part epoxy sculpt to secure the hangers inside of her head. I'm also going to be starting to build up her shoes. Alright, this is where I'm at now. I got her hair done, and I've also applied some more modifications to her legs, also adding on some gears. Now I'll be taking some air dry clay and starting to sculpt her goggles. Air dry clay dries rock solid, and it dries slightly lighter than 2-part epoxy sculpt does, slightly. But with all the modifications that I've already done to this character, she's getting kind of heavy, so I want to let up on the weight as much as I can, so I'll use air dry clay. Now I'm just doing a little bit of color correcting, and it'll be a lot easier to blend the seams together if all of it is the same color. Now I'm going to be taking a round piece of really thick foam to start making her skirt. I'm going to force a fold to happen because foam is so thick that it doesn't naturally want to happen, so I'm just going to sew a fold in. I'm not really sure what this is. I'm pretty sure it's just a charm, but I want the casing from it, so I'm basically just going to take it all apart. Alright, so now we have this casing, which will serve as the mobile Pokemon Center. I'm pretty much lining it up where I want it to hit on her skirt, and then I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and just cut it out. Now I'm going to be taking some polymer clay and forming 6 little Pokeballs. Make sure that they all fit inside the case. While those are baking though, I'm going to give her her first coat of paint. I'm going to be using this coppery metallic color. Okay, now that they're baked, I can fill in this casing with air dry clay. This will serve as the foundation for all of the Pokeballs to sit in. Now I'm just lightly pressing the Pokeballs into the air dry clay, and then pulling them back out so that way I can let it dry. Now we need to find some spare parts to use, because I want her dress to look like it's very constructed and mechanical. I might be able to use this spring, I'm not for sure what, and also this little thing that came out of the pen. It looks mechanical. Sure, why not? I have this strand of lights that I'm going to use because I want her to light up. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. As I'm going along, I'm realizing that her skirt is just way too big, so I need to make some adjustments. And now it's all dry, so we can pop it in and see what we got. Time for another coat of paint. I chose Honey Swamp for this custom because of her mint green skin. I thought if I started with that color as a base, then any of it that popped through the coats of paint that I'm applying to her would look like the green rust that appears on some metals. It's caused by corrosion, and I think will sell the overall concept that I'm trying to go for. Thank you, Delightful. I have a pair of old headphones that do not work. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with them. I think they're broken somewhere right around in this part. I'm not really sure where, but that's beside the point. The point is that I'm going to be cutting them up. I want this doll to have a whole bunch of wires and gears and just a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out of her to make it look like she is just well assembled. I'm going to be hot gluing the seams together. I'm found that if I take a too far gone paintbrush and just spread out the hot glue, after it dries and then after I paint it, it'll look like fused metal that was seared together with a soldering gun or something. Now it's time to make her bodice. I'm taking some faux leather, and I can't really tell you what I'm doing right now because I'm not even sure. I know that I'm tracing the outline of the doll, but I don't even use these lines that I'm making later, so I'm not really sure what I was thinking. Yeah, I have no idea. I just know that I want to use this heart, and it's going to light up. See, this line right here. Why did I draw that? What is it for? I have no idea. The bodice was a struggle. This is definitely a good example of what happens when you don't make a sketch first. I'm basically making this up on the fly, and the first draft of this bodice came out looking just, well, you'll see. it looks like a giant pillow with a heart on it. So while I contemplate the bodice, I'm just going to keep painting her. It's actually oddly satisfying to see all of these like random spare parts become cohesive finally, just by adding a coat of paint to them. Okay, so I've thought over her bodice and I figured might as well make it a heart because it'll play into the whole theme of the lit up heart. And I actually like it a lot better, so now I'm just going to be hot gluing it all together, doing the same kind of concept with the whole fused metal thing. Last time I sewed it and it was just, it was too much. Now I'm going to be taking that strand of lights that I had and stuffing them all up in her bodice. It kind of made it a little too thick, so I decided to only put a few of the lights in there, and I'm going to put the rest of the lights in her skirt. Nurse Joy has blue eyes, so I thought it was only right that her goggles be tinted blue. I need to paint her skirt gold, but first I thought I'd prime it, and I'm so glad I did because since her skirt is made out of this really thick foam, it's acting like a sponge and it's just absorbing all of the paint. So this part took me forever, and it was definitely not my brightest idea. What possessed me to use a sponge and paint it, I have no idea, but I eventually got through it. Alright, so her body for the most part is all painted. Just gotta kind of touch up her face a little bit. But I've also poked all of the lights randomly into different parts of her skirt, and it's also in her bodice. So unfortunately I couldn't figure out a way to hide the battery pack, so that's just something I'll have to deal with. And now I begin the slow process of changing the color of her skirt. It looks really messy right now, but I'll get it there, for sure. I'm also adding some metallic paint to her hair because I want her whole entire body to look mechanical. have constructed her apron, I guess you'd say, because Nurse Joy has a dress and an apron, but this mechanical version of Nurse Joy, I guess it's just an apron. Sewn and glued the bodice to the bottom part of it, and now I'm just going to sew her in and then hot glue the rest of it. Alright, so she is in. I have stitched it together and hot glued it for extra security. I have to do a few touch-ups and then add some embellishments, and then this doll is done. Since she is Nurse Joy, the healer of the Pokemon at the Pokemon Center, in this distant future, she is so far advanced that she can literally heal her Pokemon, or anyone's Pokemon for that matter, right wherever she stands. All she has to do is pop the Pokeballs into their pockets, and then voila! Your Pokemon are fully healed. We hope to see you again.